just like to, we're in the middle of Sif Dalet, and I just like to read this Ramah before we go on to Sif Hey. This Ramah is something which is a bit vexing in many halachas. I'm going to start with something which is not negea to most of you most of the time. I happen to be a loyal. One of the things that I do. I happen to eat breakfast. That's also one of the things that I do. Okay? If I have a bris, can I eat breakfast before the bris?
If you daven, why not?
Okay. There must be some reason I'm asking this question. The reason I'm asking the question, right? The Suda. Okay. I don't know if you ever heard this Indian of blowing shofar on Rosh Hashanah. You ever heard that? Okay. So there's some kind of Indian about blowing shofar on Rosh Hashanah, and there's a discussion about making kiddush before Tkiyah shofar. What's the discussion? What's the subject?
Should you eat anything prior to hearing the
shofar? What's the question? I would like to quote, yes, you davened Shacharis, didn't you?
Correct. But maybe there's an Indian effect of not eating before you hear the
why?
I don't know why.
Because whenever a person has a mitzvah, let's see that word, whatever, we're going to discuss that in a second. Does that stop a person from being able to eat? The Mishnah Berurah, I'm going to just share with you something which you're not going to believe. So if you really don't believe it, I'll take out the Mishnah Berurah and show it to you. The Mishnah Berurah discusses a person who has to eat before he hears the Megillah. So he says maybe you should hear the Megillah after Klag on Tainus Esther. Because you're not allowed to eat before you hear the Megillah. But now we all know, if you take a look in Shulchan Aruch, you're not supposed to hear the Megillah before it's night. But you're not supposed to eat before you hear the Megillah.
Which is priority.
Which is so obviously food, right? No, for some reason that's not. So Mishnah Berurah says that could very well be a person should hear the Megillah before that. Now, I'm not going to get involved in that question. In my opinion, that shaila is a Hilchos to Mashiach. It makes absolutely no sense in reality. But somebody who comes to me on Tainus Esther and says, I think that I have to eat before the Megillah. Should I hear the Megillah before Shkia? I will tell him you should eat now. In other words, the guy who his health demands, this situation is like a really strange situation. If he's a chayla, he's not supposed to be fasting. So I'm not getting involved in, there is a case where this is relevant, but it's not, this halakha is not really relevant. But anybody who can't wait another hour to eat probably should not be fasting. Let's not forget that Tainus Esther is not a sub, but it's not Shilos of the Tapas. It's not a long fast. There's no reason why a person should really not be able to fast. I mean, no reason if you're healthy. So, if you're not healthy, you shouldn't be fasting. So, but the bottom line is, actually, the Mishnah Berurah says possibly better hear the Megillah early than eat before hearing the Megillah.
In connection with the show from Rosh Hashanah, there's a miscomprehension here. People think that they have to eat, otherwise it's over. So this sort of fasting on Rosh Hashanah. And if Avrohom make it very clear for Nafrei to make that commentary that there's no such Indian not to fast. It's a mistaken conception.
Okay, listen, I'm not going to argue with Avrohom because it's not fair. You know why? Because he can't argue with me, right? So it's not fair for me to argue with him. And I'll just leave it at the following statement. There may be person that say he's supposed to fast on Rosh Hashanah. We'll just leave it. We're not going to get involved in that question. And if I were the one that had to address this issue, I disagree with his approach of attack. I have a much better resource than his. Just drink some water before Shacharis. 100% water, and you're not fasting. And the question doesn't even become a question. Okay? Now, I will say, I just want to remark just broaden your horizons and what's out there in the world. I have a guy in my kailo that he will never drink before Shachris water. So I told him, not to forget why we had this discussion. I said, why not? It's Mufurish Mishpur allowed. He says, yeah. But the halacha is you're only allowed to drink water if you're thirsty. I'm never sure I'm thirsty. So I never drink water unless I feel I have to drink water. But just to drink water to take care of another issue, I'm not willing to do that because maybe I'll make a bracha l'vatah. Okay, so there's all kinds of Jews out there. So maybe Rabbi Bowman was concerned about those Jews.
So that's not really bracha l'vatah. It would be a bracha she'et tzricha,
which is a bracha l'vatah. There's no water does not need a bracha. It's like making a bracha on air. It doesn't work. It's not food. But actually, I don't think we have anybody here in this crowd that has this issue. If I told you drink some water,
isn't the reason you don't eat before just because you're going to miss the mitzvah?
Maybe that's the reason why the halacha was put into place. Right? It was put into place with a rule. Now,
but even then, if you have someone who's going to remind you to do it,
so then there becomes.
Megillah never certainly said that people are going to remind you to do it.
Okay, so obviously that doesn't help. And just like this, by Chasna, there's rules to that question, and I just would like to don't think that I'm drunk and I'm learning Hilchos Purim now. Let's see the Ramah in Siv Dalet. When it comes time that you could already count Sefiras Ha'Omer, Asurim lechol ad sheyispor. Got that? You're not allowed to eat before you count Sefira. Va'afilu hischel lechol paisik v'sefer. You have to stop eating. You can't say I'll do it later. You have to stop eating and count. If you started your meal before Shkia, then now there's a discussion if you have a minyan kavua, but first, just this halacha is a real halacha, and people don't know it.
So people make early Shabbos, they have to be on Sefira later, not allowed to eat it.
When do they make Shabbos? When do they make Kiddush? I hope they make Kiddush before Shkia. I hope. I hope so. Right? Otherwise, there are other problems, right? You even have this here. But all right. So this is important, and this is Nageya because there are many people who have all of a sudden certain obligations. In other words, if I would be in Yerushalayim tonight, I would not be davening with my regular minyan because I'm supposed to be at a chasna tonight. But I'm not. I'm not at that chasna. Okay. Anyways, but Ekshahu, I would have a problem. I don't have my normal minyan when I daven at. I'm not going to daven there. So what's going to be? So time of Sefira, and when is time of Sefira? That's also another question. Is it Ben Hashmoshes? Is it Tzeis? That's another issue. But let's just see the Mishnah Berurah on this halacha. But Salama Tzeis Ekechavim. When is Man Sefira? Tzeis Ekechavim. Now, why is that? We just got finished saying that you're allowed to count Ben Hashmoshes. Right? The guy spent 2 weeks driving home the point. So the Shari Tzion answers this question, and I doubt that you will be satisfied that his answer is adequate. And there's more behind it. Says the Shari Tzion. Why did I say Tzeitzek Chav and not Ben Hashmoshes? Who push it? Why? The Ben Hashmoshes, Avshamuta Lispar Mitam Sveika de Rabbonon. Al kaponim enu mechuyev adai. Could somebody translate that to me? I'm very.
We'll start to the Shatra.
So you're on my side?
Yeah.
What a day. Okay, right? If somebody says, Rabbi Zachariash, from when are you allowed to counting from? What am I going to say? I don't know what I'm going to say. Ben Hashmoshes. You ought to be medaktikim. Anybody here from the medaktikim? If you're medaptic him, so then you do it by taste. This is an issue. So the Mishnah Berurah answers in short: when do Chazal want you to come? So now I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to move this question to the religious realm, and here you'll feel more comfortable with the question. Rabbi, should I daven with the 20-minute minyan or the Mincha Ma'ariv minyan? So the before Shkia, after Shkia. Those people in America know Mincha Ma'ariv, that's one word, right? Mincha Ma'ariv minyan. Should I daven with the Mincha Ma'ariv minyan and count Sefiras Ha'Omer, and this way I'll have more tefillas? Or should I wait till the 9 o'clock minyan when it's Vaday night, even according to Rabbeinu Tam, and miss out on possibly tefillas? Well, the tefillas is the question, right? What's the answer to the question? You understand the question? So, in my opinion, you want to say something, Yechiel?
I said the later minion.
Why is that? Because you're Hungarian. That's why, right?
That's also
right?
true, but also because that is because we're weighing the Tmimus against the Zman. I think the Zman has more weight.
Well, but the question is, if I count it early, will it be called Tmimus?
Yeah.
You got the problem.
Yeah.
You know, it's really we're double crossing ourselves in the question. But the answer is, and this is many times, there's the halacha and there's the lamaisa. The halacha is a din of ben hashmoshes, but lamaisa it's better to count when it's night. So therefore, we don't put the strict time in beforehand. Now I'll just borrow this and leave it as a question. You're not allowed to eat for a half hour before Zman Tefillah. There are people in America that have what's called Terach Minyan. People know what Terach Minyan is? You don't know? No. You must not be Jewish. What kind of grandfather did you have? Never Terach Minyan. Terach Minyan is the reason why it's called Terach Minyan is based on a medrash. But there are those people who daven before Vasikin. You have to go to work. My father's shul, they daven at 7:10 every day, except for Sunday. Sunday 7:30. So one time I asked my father, "How did you come up with this weird number of 7:10? Like, does this mean you start off at 7 o'clock and evolve to 7:10?" I said, "No, this meaning was always 7:10." So I said, "What's your relationship with 7:10?" He said, "It's the time that the whole year you can daven at this time." As my nephew, who took over my father's position, says, I could be up to my second coffee and it's still before Alois, where my parents live. It's very late, very late. It's very late. I don't remember what time, but Vasikin is well after 8 o'clock. I mean, English people know it. You daven terach, right? That's right. I mean, there's no choice. It's not. If you want to go to work, you want to be at work at 8:30. 7:10 in the winter is 7:10 is before they daven before Vasikin. Before Vasikin. But it's after Mashiach. It's like amazing. That's how we created the time. He created the time based on the sun calendar, not on because there's a medrash that Tarach daven before Avrohom. So it's called Terach Minyan because before the Jews daven, this is the time before the Jews daven. That's why it's what? Yeah, okay, that's why that's what it's called. But anyways, you've heard. Is that what it's called in England?
Yeah.
That's.
I think they also have it here in Israel in certain places when
they definitely have it. They have it in many places, but they don't have this name in America. Okay, fine, whatever. Extra. So no, the question is, you're not allowed to daven. You're not allowed to eat before you daven. What time is davening time? It's the earliest that you can daven. A person's traveling. You get this question all the time. I'm flying to America. I'll have to daven in the airport. And the boarding, at Wasikan time, can I daven before? I get asked this question all the time. All right, and they say, yes, you're allowed to daven before. All right? This is a regular thing in life, right? You're davening before Wasikan. So you're not allowed to, not allowed to eat before I daven. What time is the davening time? Is it davening time Vasikan time? Or is it davening time Terach time? I have to count back a half hour before when? Right? Anyways, this question is relevant to a moil also. Is a moil allowed to eat before he performs the mitzvah? Or the father? Okay? Is he allowed to eat before he performs the mitzvah? I'll tell you a few answers to this question. First of all, there's a fascinating question which I have. I have a fascinating question which I never found anybody who discusses. But I just had it recently. I had a bris on a baby that the bris was done at 2:30 in the afternoon, and it could not have been done before that because the baby was under stress. No, under stress. That person had to, it swallowed meconium and got an infection. Whatever. Some disease, if you want to call it, not a disease, but some medical issue. And the halachic state of that child was you have to wait 7 days from when he's deemed healthy. And he was deemed healthy at 2:30 in the afternoon. So my bris was at 2:30 in the afternoon. And then the question arises, am I allowed to eat at 12 o'clock? There is no bris on the horizon. It's not like a regular baby where you're just doing this. It's different happening. His Zman doesn't start until 2:30 in the afternoon. All right. Anyways, this is a question. Most places can say that the mother and the father are both allowed to eat. I'm not going to get into why that is so, but this is discussed on the page in your day. Anyways, but this person davened after plug. He has none of those issues. You're not allowed to count. You're not allowed to eat a half hour before night. Before night. Okay, but I would just like to share with you a discrepancy between the world we live in and Mishnah Berurah, and maybe I'll offer you a hint of an explanation. The minig in Klal Yisrael is that they wash from Malav Malka even a little bit after Shkia. And you go to any shul in America that serves Shalashunas, they're not neurotic about making sure you wash before Shkia. Now, that's okay, because the Mishnah Berurah really says that you can do that. You don't have to do that, you can wash after Shkia. The problem is that doesn't translate to Yisrael, because you're not allowed to eat a half hour before Ma'ariv. When could you daven Ma'ariv? 20 minutes after Shkia. Could you eat some Mefurish and have a shalom, right? We don't call it Taras Ma'ariv, right? That's a fine time to daven, right? So it should be that you're not allowed to wash for Shalashudas 10 minutes before Shkia. The Mishnah Berurah says you're allowed to wash Ben Hashmoshes because it's more than a half hour until Ma'ariv. And that's Nachon in Chutz La'aretz. What it says in the Mishnah Berurah is correct in his reality. It's not correct in our reality. So there's a question as to why is it that the oilam is mekel that until Shkia you can wash. Far from simple that you should be able to wash until Shkia. I'm literally undoing all your preconceived notions. Born again. Okay? Anyways, so a half hour beforehand one should not already be eating. If you have a wake-up call, and nowadays anybody who's an anybody, that's a nobody. People daven in shul, they don't have this issue here because they daven in shul. But like my daughters, they all have it on their alarm clock, on their phone that it rings for Sefira, right? So they're taken care of. So this issue isn't an issue. Lechol hu adin shar malacha. They're not allowed to do it. Poisik l'seif. Behind the Lamad Yom Sefira Bizman is a deraisa. Then you have to stop doing what you're doing. When came the other things were said on. And opposed to you have to stop linyamin. And here we get to the bends in halacha. Here we said b'choishish that it's a deraisa, even though generally we don't. Why? Just count. So here we threw the book at you, so to speak, even though it's unjustified, because we want this for such a little bit of tircha, you should go the extra mile and stop eating and count.
Even if you're going to go to Minyan later?
No, that doesn't say. If you mind, that's how much that say. Even if you hold the rice up, if you started earlier, there's no class, you don't have to stop. Okay, now it's important to count. That's just wanted to drive home that point. And the halacha is about it. Make sure that you are over on this halacha, and I believe probably to most people, at least once or twice during Sefira, you're going to go to a chasana in Yerushalayim, and you want to leave Bein Hashmoshes. All right.
I don't understand this. Half an hour before Shkia, you can't eat.
I didn't say that. Yeah. I didn't say that. I said half hour before you count. Half hour before it says. You cannot.
Okay, before it says. So wait a second. So does that mean that you count then?
No.
Because
no, you're just not allowed to get involved doing it. You have to clean.
You still have a half an hour that you end up falling asleep, or you end up doing something else and you get sidetracked. If it was right before 5 minutes before, okay, 5 minutes after, but half an hour, you get about something.
Like Tosfos, or Raj. Those things are permissible. It's just malacha, that'll be involved. I guess if you're learning Tosfos, we'll figure that you'll be able to stop. This is halacha which is relevant by David Mincha. It's halacha that's relevant in all things. It's not a local halacha. All right. Now this next halacha is extremely fascinating. Two halachas that go together. Excuse me. And then you're gonna fake it, right? I'm too embarrassed to tell you I don't know what day today is. So what do? I listen to the guy next to me. And whatever he says, I say. All right? I hope the guy next to you knows what he's doing. Right? But is there any reason why I have to know before I count?
Yeah.
Why?
You want to make sure you got counting the right day.
1 second. And if I ask you, listen, I have a choice. I can listen to you and hear what day it counts, or I could ask you beforehand which day it counted. I'm no more sure one way or the other, right? Stuff to lie on you. Nothing personal.
No, if you hear somebody, you figure that most probably he's saying the right day.
Just like when I ask him, and he tells me
you're embarrassed to ask him.
I say, I understand. But is there any reason why I should ask him before I make the bracha?
More appropriate to know the day before you say the bracha.
Perhaps. What would Perhaps.
Just make the bracha after you hear him.
I didn't ask for eitzes. I asked you halacha. Eitzes, I have a wife who'll give me eitzes. I don't need eitzes. I'll ask you what the halacha is. No, I'll ask you a question. You'll see this as enough. Give me the halacha l'maisa. Okay? The Mishnah Berurah on this. Is there any reason? So Eli's saying an idea, which is a fascinating idea. When a person counts, they're supposed to know what they're counting. When you're making the bracha, you should know what you're making a bracha on. So making a bracha on that day, I would just like to share with you a fascinating illustration. Oh. Today we'll get to the answer that I'll wait for next week, but that question will be answered. Okay? I'd like to share with you a fascinating illustration. A person, his wife makes a hefsek taira, and she's not sure if it's good. And her husband is going to see the rabbi at 9 o'clock. And right now it's a half hour to shkia. Should she tell her husband, take it to the rabbi before shkia so I can find out if it's good? So her husband says, well, until I get back, it's going to be after shkia, whatever. Is there any reason to go immediately? So Moshe Feinstein says something amazing. He says that you should l'chatchila if you can. It's not what I tell people to do. This is definitely true l'chatchila. For other reasons, not because I disagree with what he says. You should ask the rabbi before shkia, so that when you count it, you know emphatically today is day 1 of Zaydikiyah. Even though you don't count the Zaydikiyah until the daytime, but it's part of the day is the night, and you should have that cognizant idea before. Even though it helps, if you go 3 days later and the rabbi says, oh, it's okay, and all those days count, but it's better that you know the idea when you're counting what today is. Okay? So similarly, when I'm making a bracha, I know I'm making a bracha on Sefiras Ha'Omer, but today's the 10th day, or it's today the 11th day. I don't know what today is. Is there an advantage of me knowing it by the bracha? So I'm going to see the Mishnah Berurah on this. If you waited, then you heard from him, and then you counted, you do yoitz. The siyam kamahu yotza. That's why mer afa bracha. The adaita the achi pasach habracha. The siyam the ikar simu psicha. You did everything as you're supposed to do. Umikol makam the chatchila ein lo levarech elam ken yodeya mitchila eiz yom hayom. Why? Not for the reason that we just hinted to. That's the same reason. The also lahafsik ben shtika ben abracha lemitzvah yeser mikdei dibur. You're not allowed to stop more than 3 words. And hayom shiva asayom shem shtei shavuos avayom whatever. That's way too many words.
How about when the Mishnah in Shalosh, people say, then they say, Moshe. That's more than 3 words.
They're able to tune up. You say that after you have the tune past my head. Okay. Anyways, so he seems to say there's no reason. There's a technical reason, not a real reason. Right? Now, not only that, if today is the 6th day, Hayom Shisha, okay, I can already start. I don't have to wait. I'm not going to overdo the time gap. Says the Sharitzir. I don't know, I lost my place over here. Lamed Zayin. Right? As long as you have no time lapse, then you're okay. Like Ali said. But the Shulchan Aruch, the Mishnah Berurah, doesn't bring that on the top. Now, I'll just make a statement there is an art to learning Mishnah Berurah. What goes on top, what goes on bottom, and what goes in the Bir Halacha. In other words, he sometimes says he could have three different opinions. And there's an art to know why they are there. He's telling you something about where he put them. In other words, this is what we'll call this a secondary reason. This is not called a real reason. It's a secondary, it's a real reason, but it's a secondary reason. And someone would ask you what the reason is, so you should say the first one, not the second one. And the nafkamina is, how important is it to really ask?
Is there a reason to wait for the Rav or the Tats to say the bracha and to count? This person knows. Let's say he knows. You should wait for that, or do you just say it?
I don't really know the answer to that question, but I'll answer it anyways. Okay? Two things. There is a idea of Beroivam Hadris Melech. And according to many, when everybody, not everybody agrees to this, when everybody counts three at the exact same time, there's an aspect of Beroivam Hadris Melech.
He's counting and he's not having any mind. Or
Right.
Rav is counting.
Right?
You're not having any mind.
Even if I am, you have a mind not to be with me. It's irrelevant.
So
irrelevant.
where's the vote?
When you're going to count afterwards, you're counting with all the congregation.
So that's better than counting.
That's as it's not better. It has an advantage. It's not the counting isn't the better counting. It's the fact that you're doing a mitzvah together with everybody else at the same time. That's a
And having the other 9 people, or the other 8 people, it's better than having just one person who's saying.
I think so. But that said, there's no reason. No, there's no. I can't think of a real reason. All right. Next halacha. In Pasach, now there's halacha like this. Fascinating halacha. A person makes a bracha, and he had in mind to make, let's say, something in a strawberry. I never saw strawberry before. I'm eating a strawberry for the first time. So I said to you, Ellie, what's that fruit called? It's strawberry. I said, great. And I stopped making a bracha. What should you say when you hear me start to make a bracha? You have no wits about you. You're making the wrong bracha. Why didn't you start? Why should you say that? What bracha do you make on berries? Right? So when you see me, you say, what is that, a strawberry? And I start to make a bracha. What bracha do you think I'm going to say? Right?
No.
What do you...
One of the patriots did almonds and strawberries.
Because you know what strawberries are, right? I asked you, as the first time I've seen a strawberry. He said, what is this? And he said, a strawberry. And I said, stop. I didn't ask you what bracha do you make on it. Because it's implicit. You said it's a strawberry. Right? I know what bracha you make on berries. Right? It's not even so simple why you make Adam on strawberries. But we'll leave that for a different time. But, so you should interrupt me. Right? So I said, Baruch. That's the first time I'm eating strawberry. So I said, Baruch, Ato, Hashem, okay. Rabbi Zachariash, that's Adam. Now, when I finished off Bor Priyadama, I had in mind Bor Priyadama. When I said the Shem of Hashem, it's a machlokes. Okay?
You could say the bracha.
It's a machlokes. It's a machlokes. Now, we're not learning Hilchos brachos now. Let's see right now what it says over here in Shulchan Aruch. In Pasach V'Ama Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam Adaita Delei Mahayom Arba. You had in mind that today is day 4. Why? Shu Somer Shu Hei Arba. You thought that today is the 4th day. V'Niskar V'Siyah V'Chamisha. By the time you got up to counting, you remembered you heard the guy next to you saying Chamisha, so you conveniently, right, do that. Oh, Ibcha Shem Arba Pasach Adaita Delei Mahayom Arba V'Tov V'Siyah V'Chamisha. Eino Chayzer B'Varech. As long as somewhere along the line you were on the right place, that's good enough. This halacha makes absolutely no sense. And that's the Mishnah Berurah is going to deal with this halacha. Again, what does it say in the Mechaber? If you started either right and ended up wrong, or you started wrong and ended up right, either way, it's okay. One way is for sure right, one way is for sure wrong. How could they both be okay? Okay, so let's see the Mishnah. Ratzulaimer shesiper chamisha yamin. Tov isim Ratzulaimer shesiper chamisha. Eino choizim avorach. You don't have to go back and count. V'achronim tamual din say. The bishlam areisha shesiyim b'chamisha v'hu chamisha nicha. The yotza. Why should I see kedin? What day you had in mind when you're counting? When you said the bracha is not really very important, as long as you count the right day. I'll be the Shas Berchasa Samashu Arbolav Kumu. Sharei, this is the ultimate proof. What would happen if somebody counted without a bracha? Is he Yaitza? What's the raya?
Someone asks you what day is
Oh, excellent, right? Someone asks what day it is, and you answer, you're Yaitza. Did you say a bracha? No. So that's a pretty good raya, right? You can't argue with that raya. So you see that. So even if my bracha went into the garbage, but I'm tzich yaitza, so it's the question of bracha is rather moot. Sharei av beloy birech klal yotza. I will say for my mahani le dushas bracha yoda eza yoimu. When you made the bracha, you knew what the day was. Halal kaponim bepiv siper yom sheino. You counted the wrong day. You had good intentions. The bracha rishona levatolo. Kivu chesiv acharecha yemach. Imloy sheniskar toch kedei dibo lesfirasai. Then you could do a fix-up job. Shas chayis v'sevekadin v'abrocha oilava. V'ta'od. Ta'av di b'shulchan aruch ma'iri b'shas brocha yodea yemasviro berach adai talis v'kohogen. Elo sh'achach tov v'siyim shloi kohogen. Let's talk about when you made the bracha. You knew what day it was. Just you messed up when you counted. Avokamas nachroinim eskimu daf in beis habracha yidaitem gam kem ayom acher. V'chein siper betos. V'komokom imtoch kedei dibor niskar shetoa v'siyim tekem kohagen yotza. As long as you changed it, you'll be okay. Boy kosim tov v'omer hayom yom arba or boimer. V'sach kedei dibor niskar shu chamisha. Daish isim chamisha v'omer. The yaitz v'zeh, af shalei omer hayo yom chamisha, given shodayin toch kedei dibor. Any way that you switched it and changed it, you're okay. Okay. Now, I would like to see over here Shari Tzim. Mem Aleph. Okay. I'm Chak Yosef u'Mashal came me'Agraz v'loy katas shekosav dim kol habrocha birech hadas nispor betos v'achach nizkor tzach lachzor l'vorach b'chodesh. And when you made the bracha, you had in mind the wrong day. You have to remake the bracha. Why? Because the bracha was on the wrong day. The heavy raya from Turmis, when you took the fruit, you thought it was one bracha and it was different bracha, etc. The bracha, and this is Mr. Magulis, this is you. This is what we got up to you. Okay? The bracha doesn't go on day 4. That's not what you make a bracha. I'm making a bracha. Thank you, Hashem, that I made it this far in Sphere and I can still count with the bracha. Right? Thank you, Hashem, that I can count. It's a declaration of that you have the opportunity to count. It's not a bracha on the day. It's a bracha on the mitzvah. What day you're going to count is not a directive in the bracha. There is no day in the bracha. Elohidol Hashem al etzem ha-mitzvah. The kivan shetoch kedei dibor niskar v'sim kohagen shapet al. I'd like to give you an example of this kind of a thing, which is a fascinating thing. I imagine all of you were at one time at a wedding. At least once. The rabbi makes a bracha on the Kiddush. Is he marrying anybody? So you make the Hadamah and I eat. Could you make a bracha on the lulav when I shake? So how could you, Rabbi, make a bracha on the marriage if I'm the one that's marrying the lady? It's not my question. The question is asked by the Taz. And Taz says, mistake. We are at a situation called marriage. And this is a mitzvah in the Torah. And we give shvach v'haidah to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that we have this mitzvah. Obviously, it's appropriate to give that hashvach v'haidah when that mitzvah is going to happen. But being that it's only a brichas hashvach v'haidah on the mitzvah, the rabbi can also make it. It doesn't have to be the chassid who's making it. So the same thing, the same kind of idea. Over here, Sefiras Ha'Omer, we're making a bracha on that we can count. We're not making a bracha on the counting. So therefore, even the wrong day is irrelevant because still you're counting. That's the reason why, even if you have the wrong day in mind, it'll still work. Okay, we'll stop.
What about